Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this information session. It's a great pleasure to see all of you. I hope you're well settled in and I hope you're able to hear me and see me clearly as well. Welcome to this information session where we will take you through the CMA program as it is offered at PwC's Academy. It's a very interesting time in the business world to be a management accountant. There has never been a better time for you to pursue a qualification that speaks about strategic management accounting. And the reason that I say that is because traditional financial accounting that speaks about the past has gotten automated at such a rate that the only thing left for accountants to do is to look at the future. And that is the wonderful world of management accounting. We speak about planning, budgeting, forecasting, problem solving, all of them at a strategic level. In other words, this qualification allows you to have conversation with the board members. This qualification allows you to get on the CFO agenda, and this qualification sets you on the path to become a financial planning and analysis expert. And this word, FP&A, financial planning and analysis, is something that is a buzzword over the last couple of years with regard to the transformation of finance professionals the world over. My name is Hisham, and it's a great pleasure to meet all of you. I teach part 1 and part 2 of the CMA program here in the Academy at Dubai. I've been with the Academy in Dubai for the last 1.5 years, and I teach both parts of CMA. I also teach the ACCA Performance Management pillar in addition to certain other finance qualifications as and when customized client requests arise. I've been in the academy for just about a year and a half, and before I moved to before I moved to PwC, I used to work back in Bahrain. I spent 13 years in Bahrain, 5.5 years with the training arm of the Central Bank of Bahrain. That was the Bahrain Institute of Banking and Finance. A little before that, I spent 6.5 years with Ernst & Young in Bahrain. I used to work as a manager in the Financial Accounting Advisory Services Department. And a little before that, I used to work back home. Home is Sri Lanka. And I used to work as a senior investment analyst for one of the top 20 brokerages in Sri Lanka. A little before that, I used as an associate vice president for an organization that did the outsourced investment research for the top 20 investment banks in the world. My specialty was Australian real estate. A little before that, I served as a group accountant for a company that had 23 subsidiaries. And a little before that, I used to work for KPMG. That's where I started off my career way back in 2000, where I used to work in audit and then I moved on into corporate finance as well. This year is special for me. This year in December, I complete 20 years in teaching, training, mentoring, and coaching. And the reason that I do this for as long as I have done it is because I firmly believe that these qualifications, these certifications, these exams that you pass have a powerful transformational effect on you personally, professionally, and in your career as well. It helps you to supercharge yourself, your capabilities, your problem solving to the next level that is appreciated by employers as well. It gives me an enormous amount of pleasure to see that transformation in candidates and to see them grow to become the business leaders that they have the true potential to become. I myself am a member of CMA, CIMA, CPA. I also hold a master's degree from the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, Scotland, and I also have a level 7 certification, a diploma from CMI in the US as well. So that's a little bit about me. And when I see you in class, we will discuss a little more about where this qualification can take you, just as it has taken me forward in your career as well. You are in a particular organization that takes education, training, professional development very seriously. PwC's Academy is the training arm of PwC. Dubai is the flagship for our Middle East training operation, and we are very proud that we leave this footprint in the Middle East with regard to giving back to the society, to the professional community, and to individuals so that we empower them to make a true difference in their professional and business life. PwC's Academy is proud to be allied with a variety of different professional bodies. CMA and IMA is just one. We are a platinum provider with IMA. We have also a very proud track record in the CFA examinations, the Chartered Financial Analyst examination that we had fabulous results just coming in. We also have a long track record with regard to the Association of Chartered and Certified Accountants, the chartered global body operating out of the United Kingdom. It's been around for over 100 years as well. We also offer the Certified Internal Auditor qualification, the Certified Practicing Accountant from the US, the Diploma in IFRS, and also the Institute of Chartered Accountant of England and Wales Basic Fundamental Accounting Program as well. This particular discussion comes under the department which is under professional certifications and qualifications, and this is where all of our exam-based finance qualifications come under. We also have a separate arm called the professional development arm, where we have the HR qualifications, soft skills, and the HR qualifications as well. So that's a little bit about the academy. We've been in Dubai for a really long time, and we take great pride in adding value, in giving back to the business community, and creating business leaders, especially in this particular sphere, which is finance and accounting. Over the next 45 minutes or so, dive into the CMA program. We'll speak about what you get in our time with PwC's Academy. We'll speak about what you would have to do as a student looking through CMA in your personal time, in your personal effort in order to achieve this personal success, and then we'll take some questions as well. The CMA certification is arguably the only qualification that primarily speaks about transforming you into a financial planning and analysis expert. This particular qualification is split into two. Part 1 speaks about the hardcore management accounting, planning, budgeting, forecasting, and performance evaluation aspect. We also speak a little bit about data analytics and risk management. And then in part 2, we speak about strategic financial management. This is the skill of getting on to the CFO's agenda, being able to anticipate the requirements of the market and your decision makers, and being able to cull all this information and present it in such a way that decision making, problem solving becomes more effective, efficient, economical, and faster for your organization as well. This is what we will speak about over the next 45 minutes or so. It's an exciting discussion, two-part exam, and within around 18 months, you should be able to call yourself a certified management accountant. And now that's something to put on your CV, to update your business cards, and to put it on your LinkedIn handle as well. So I'd really like you to have that, and hopefully within the next 2 years, you should be able to achieve it as well. The CMA certification, the Certified Management Accounting certification, is offered by IMA, the Institute of Management Accounting, headquartered in the United States. This qualification focuses on a particular type of accounting. Generally, the accounting world is split into two. You have the financial accounting and you have the management accounting component. Financial accounting is primarily focused on the preparation of financial statements for external reporting, but management accounting, what we speak about, focuses on internal information for internal decision making with a future focus. In other words, primarily it is built on the pillars of planning for the future, budgeting for the future, decision making in the future, and performance evaluation based on, did you achieve the budget in terms of your actual performance? And if you take organizations, there will always be planning, there will always be budgeting, there will always be forecasting, and for sure, there will always be performance evaluation. So the skills that you get from the CMA program are globally recognized across the world over a long period of time, and they will continue to be relevant regardless of the changes to the business, regardless of disruption, regardless of technology. You will always be relevant if you are able to plan for the future, budget for the future, evaluate performance in the future, and very importantly, forecast the future. This set of skills is what this qualification equips you to do. CMAs the world over are the trusted business advisors of the chief financial officers and the chief executive officers. You are an important conduit between the business and the business's decision makers. You transform data into information, information into decisions, decisions into strategy, strategy into performance, and then performance into performance evaluation, and repeat the process all over again in order to continuously deliver value to your organizations. A CMA qualified individual, a professional who has this suite of skills, will always be relevant in the business world, whether it is physical or virtual, whether it is manufacturing or service, whether it is entrepreneurial or a listed company, you will always have a place in the professional world. The steps that you would employ in order to start your road to this qualification: number one, you would have to enroll and register with CMA. This would give you access to a student number, and this will give you access to IMA's portal as well. And ideally, with regard to the entry requirements, you need to have a bachelor's degree. It helps if it is a degree in accounting and finance, but IMA is fairly relaxed with the regulations that are required with regard to entering this particular qualification. Once you register, the next step is for you to register for one of the exams. A little later we'll speak about this, but CMA is unique in that you don't have to do the exams in a sequential manner. What do I mean by that? It means you can take part 1 and then part 2, or you could take part 2 and then go with part 1. If you're really inclined, you can actually do both parts in the same window. If you are motivated, dedicated, and you love a challenge, then that route is open to you as well. But this is one example of the flexibility that the CMA program gives you. Once you have passed and qualified and completed the 2 exams, you will get your 2 years minimum work experience verified, and then you get the privilege of putting those 3 tiny letters that cause such a big impact behind your name: CMA. There is no necessary time limit to complete the qualification, but you have to complete the second exam within 2 years of completing the first exam. So what that means is, if you take part 1 and pass it, within 2 years, you've got to pass part 2. Or if you take part 2 and you pass, then within 2 years, you've got to complete part 1 as well. A commitment of time, a commitment to study, a commitment to make the sacrifices that are needed is important. One of my favorite quotes comes from Brian Tracy, and he says success has 2 keys. Number 1, find the price that you have to pay for success. Number 2, determine to pay that price. So with CMA, as with all recognized and worthwhile qualifications, it requires a certain amount of sacrifice. It requires a certain amount of commitment. It requires a certain amount of energy, commitment, time that you put in order to master this body of knowledge, pass the exams in your first time, and then get to that place where you can say, I am a chartered or certified management accountant. I am someone who deals in problem solving. And I am someone who talks about what is relevant to a business in terms of decision making as well. So in terms of the time taken to complete the qualification, you could say that on average, you should take 18 months to about 2 years to complete it, depending on the commitment that you put in. It's just like one of these wonderful campfires that you would have during the winter season. If you have good quality firewood that you put in, then you will get a wonderful feeling of warmth back from the fire itself. If you put in your time, commitment, and sacrifice to passing the exams, the results that you get will be lifelong positive, because nobody can take that success away from you. We'll spend a little bit of time on this particular slide, and I want to take you through the 2 parts of the CMA examination. Part 1 is the bigger part of the syllabus. Spend a little bit more time on it. The material is a little bit broader and deeper. and it goes into the hardcore foundation of management accounting. Now we start off with 15% of the syllabus that speaks about external financial reporting decisions. You can ask the question, but wait a minute, you just said that this is a management accounting qualification. Why are we starting with financial reporting? The answer is management accounting starts where financial accounting ends. Financial accounting looks at transactions, recording them, summarizing them, preparing the financial statements. Financial accounting is done. But that's the past. Management accounting starts where financial accounting ends, and then based on those financial statements, you plan, you budget, you forecast, and you do performance evaluation. So before we get into management accounting, it's important for us to understand the world of financial accounting. Remember, we are not studying to be financial accountants. We don't speak about double entry. We don't speak about bank reconciliations. But what we do speak about are the main financial statements: the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, the statement of changes in equity, and the notes to the financial statements. Primarily, we speak about the differences between US GAAP and the IFRSs, and we ask ourselves, okay, what is my starting point that I can use for decision making? Then we go into the heart of the part 1 syllabus. Here, we speak about the core management accounting topics. So we start off with planning, budgeting, and forecasting. We speak about what is budgeting, what are the types of budgets. We speak about the traditional top-down budgeting method. We speak about the method. We speak about incremental budgeting. We speak about zero-based budgeting. We speak about activity-based budgeting. And then once you have prepared the budgets, you implement the budget. But at the end of the time period, it's now important for us to evaluate performance. So this is where we speak about variance analysis. We speak about the material variances, the labor variances, the overhead variances, essentially asking ourselves the question, what did I want to do and what did I end up doing? What should I have done and what did I actually do? Was this controllable or was this uncontrollable? For example, during the pandemic, companies like Airbnb and Uber did really badly. But before the pandemic, they were supposed to do really well. So in terms of performance evaluation, Uber and Airbnb did really bad. But if you take companies like Netflix, if you take companies like Pfizer, they would have had a budget, a plan before the pandemic. But during the pandemic, companies like Pfizer and companies like Netflix did really, really well. So when you evaluate performance, they have done much better. But is it due to them being good or is it due to an external reason? The reason was the pandemic. Performance evaluation focuses on this aspect. And then we go on to a very interesting area called cost management, where we ask one very simple question. What is the cost of one unit? How much does it cost me to make one particular unit? Because then that leads us to decision making. Should I produce? Should I ask for the different price? Should I ask for a discount? What is my break even point? These are some of the discussions that we will have when we speak about cost management. One of the bigger focuses there is the allocation of indirect costs, especially because in this environment, in this day and age, it's really, really important for us to understand that the indirect costs, things like electricity, things like internet, things like research, things like quality control, things like regulatory expenses that you have to spend to make sure that you are in line with the regulation. These are indirect costs, but these are significant investments that you make, especially with something like data analytics. Then comes two different areas which are not primarily management accounting, but it's important for the strategic management accountant to be aware of. The first one speaks about internal controls. Internal controls are a set of checks and balances, documents and processes, protocols and documentation that you put in place to make sure that what you planned and budgeted at the beginning gets implemented on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, annual basis. If you are able to set up internal controls for a business, you will always have a job, because it's like having side view mirrors, rear view mirrors, a speedometer, a fuel gauge, brakes in your car as well. You have one accelerator, but you have all these other things to make sure that you get to where you want to go in the safest possible way. Our discussion centers around the COSO, or Committee of Sponsoring Organizations Framework for Internal Control. And that brings us finally to something that was added a few years ago, 15% of our syllabus, focusing on technology and analytics. The first part of it speaks about systems. The second part of it speaks about data analytics, big data, data warehousing, and how this can be used by the strategic management accountant in order to create value to the business as well. Part 2 starts very similar to part 1. We start off with financial statement analysis. So in part 1, we started with external financial reporting. In part 2, we go to those statements and now we figure out, all right, if I have a set of financial statements, I know whether this is good or bad, positive or negative, have they done well or not. Financial statement analysis is the strategic use of ratios of common size analysis in order to figure out, have I really done well? What are the indicators that are present here? What are the ratios that I can calculate for me to evaluate my financial performance over the past? Then comes a slightly longer area, corporate finance. Essentially, if you want a two-word summary, you're talking here about investment banking. You're asking just two questions. Where does the money come from and where does the money go to? Effectively, you're asking the question, where can I raise the money from? Which financial markets, locally, internationally, debt markets, equity markets? What are the alternative investment markets? What's the regulation that surrounds it? And then where can I actually go and invest it? Can I go and put it in real estate? Can I go and put it in businesses? Can I go and put it in projects? That's the second part that we speak about in this section called investment decision making. Corporate finance asks the question, where does the money come from? Investment decisions answers the question, where will I go and put that money into? So that's two parts that come together to form an investment thesis or an investment banking case study. The next thing that we speak about is decision analysis. Now, one common feedback that we always get is that part 2 is very different to part 1. Part 2 is a little bit more interesting. Part 2 tends to be a little bit more palatable, and it's reflected in the pass rates as well. The part 2 pass rate is about 46% globally over a number of years, and the part 1 pass rate is about 34% globally going back a number of years. Corporate finance, a bigger area, speaks about where the money comes from. But the third part, decision analysis, is very similar to part 1. It's the only part in the part 2 syllabus that touches upon something similar to what you would see in part 1. In decision analysis, we ask ourselves the question, what is my break-even point in units? What is my break-even point in revenue? What is my margin of safety? What is my number of units that I need to sell in order to make a target profit? If there is the impact of taxation, how many units do I need to sell in order to make a target profit and to cover my cost as well? Should I make a product or buy the product? Should I make it in-house or can I get it from outside? Should I shut down a particular division? Should I further process a particular product? And these are some of the discussions that we will have. Then we go on to investment decisions. That is where in the part 2 syllabus, your particular calculator that you use, that's the Texas Instruments Business Analyst 2 calculator, becomes an important part. Very interesting discussion. It's only 15% in terms of size, but it's something really, really important. We speak about the time value of money. We speak about the compound interest concept. We then speak about the concept of annuity, and we speak about the concept of a perpetuity. We then apply that to regular cash flows. We then apply that to irregular cash flows. We speak about the net present value. We speak about the internal rate of return. We speak about the residual income, and we speak about the return on investment as well. We end that discussion with two theoretical areas. One that speaks about risk management. We speak about the different models of risk management. And then we end up with professional ethics, where we have a discussion on personal ethics and corporate ethics as well. For both of these parts, the exam is a computer-based exam of 4 hours. Now, this 4 hours is split into two. In the first 3 hours, you will attempt 100 multiple choice questions. You need to get 50% of these MCQs correct. Why? Because then the essay section will open. So you need to get a minimum of 50% correct for the essay section, the second part, to open. You have 3 hours for 100 MCQs. You need 50% minimum correct for the essay section to open. Now, our advice to candidates over the last number of years has always been try to get 80, 85, 90 out of the MCQs. Why? Because if you aim for 50, that means you make your life very difficult in the essay. Don't aim for the minimum. Aim for perfection, aim for excellence, aim for the maximum in these MCQs. Because when the essay section opens, you have 1 hour for 2 essay questions, 50 marks each. That is your 4-hour exam. The first 3 hours for 100 MCQs, you get 50% correct. The essay section opens, 1 hour, 2 essay questions, 50 marks each. Now, the scoring for the exam goes like follows. The first 100 MCQs are 4 marks each. So 100 into 4, that's 400 marks. The 2 essay questions, 50 marks each, that's 100 marks. 400 plus 100, that's 500 marks. You need to get 360 out of this 500, which equates to about 71%. So tell yourself that you need a minimum of 72%, but in your preparation, always aim for about 80%. Because if you target for 80%, then you're always telling yourself, I'm leaving nothing in the tank. There is no way other than anything, but I'm going to pass. And this is something really, really important to build in that winning mentality. 3 exam windows during the year. Each exam window is about 2 months long. The window that we will be targeting for this particular batch will be the January-February window. You can book an exam anytime within this particular time period. The last day that you can book the exam is before 15th of February for the Jan-Feb window. The second exam window is May-June. Again, a 2-month time period. You can book your exam at any given time. Generally, we recommend that you book a date towards the end. So February end for the Jan-Feb window, June end for the May-June window, and October end for the September-October window. Why? Because this gives you extra time to prepare and to do your personal revision as well. With regard to the fees that you will pay, the membership fees for professionals is $280, for students $210. Exam fees for professionals $460 and for students $335. Unlimited attempts, you can take the exam as long as you need for you to pass. Of course, once you pass one part 102, within 2 years, you've got to make sure that you take and complete the second part as well. So essentially, from the time you pass your first exam, part 102, you have 2 years to take and pass the second one. So don't take too many breaks, because once you are in the momentum of finishing these exams, it's important for you to maintain that higher level of success as well. Part 1 is a bigger part. It takes on average about 170 hours. Part 2, smaller in volume, less quantitative in nature. So that takes you about 140 plus hours of study time as well. We generally meet twice a week, Tuesday and Saturday, or Wednesday and Saturday, depending on which part you're taking. So we meet for 3.5 to 4 hours twice a week. Essentially, we will have about a 10-hour discussion or a 14-hour discussion on any given particular week. That means you will cover a big bulk of material in any given week. And as you go along, you will master this material, do intensive question practice on a weekly basis, and that gets you ready for our revision, where we focus on the retired IMA exam questions, and that puts you in a great place to take the self-paced mock exam. And then the next step, of course, is for you to go to the final exam. Being a certified management accountant means something, and it means something valuable. What it means is you are a master of a vast syllabus. You have a large number of tools available for you, and you're telling your employers that I have sacrificed time, money, effort, energy, family to get these 3 letters behind my name. That means I'm somebody who can add value to you. Getting this certification has a couple of challenges, and the first one, of course, is the knowledge that you get. Being a management accountant means you know things, you can do things, you have succeeded in the exams, you have mastered a vast body of knowledge, and that is reflected in the vast syllabus as well. You will have time pressure from work, time pressure to attend classes, time pressure to do your revision, and time pressure in the exam as well. How well you can discipline yourself to manage this time is absolutely crucial. So, having a plan, sticking to that plan, and making sure that you execute that time plan is really, really important. Now, does that mean that you can't enjoy the winter? Does it mean that you can't take leave? No, of course not. If there's a birthday party or if there's a New Year's Eve gathering, whichever it may be, of course, make sure that you attend it. But then make sure that before the event and after the event, you compensate for the time that you lose. So it's really, really important for you to commit the time. And because it's a large syllabus, it's important that on a weekly basis, you are on top of the syllabus. If you miss a class, watch the recording. Make sure that you speak to your colleagues in the class. Approach the trainer if you have any doubts. It's important that you are confident of the material that you have covered, and this is ultra crucial. It's important not only to know, but also to do. And this is where understanding and application plays a part. This is not a bachelor's degree, it's not an academic qualification, it's a professional certification, meaning once you qualify, you are fit to go and do this in the real world. Now, one of the key things that happens is on day one, we give you access to the question bank, which has over 1,000 questions, which has over 1,000 MCQs, and which has a significant number of essay questions as well. When you attempt the essay question, the LMS marks it for you. So with regard to understanding and application, how do you understand and apply through practice? And where does this practice come from? From attempting the question bank. In each of our classes, we cover anywhere between 10 to 25 MCQs that cover the knowledge parts of the syllabus. But then it falls onto you to access the online question bank and attempt as many MCQs as possible, because this is your secret recipe for success. It's important that you apply this knowledge so that it goes into your mind, your brain, it gets hard coded into your exam DNA, and you can execute in the exam as well. Essays are a challenge. When we do the revision, we speak about the verbs, the and, the mark allocation, the knowledge level, and we have strategies to write the essay questions as well. The calculations can be new, they can be a little technical, but remember, with familiarity comes competence. The more you do it, the better you become. People before you have done it, people after you will do it, for sure you will be able to do it as well. And remember, you have taken the first step towards success. You're here today. Have that confidence, have that hunger, have learning. Visualize when you get that email that says, congratulations, you can now call yourself a CMA, how you will feel. And can do it, you deserve this. Be confident. Be confident in your ability. You passed exams before, you'll pass exams in the future. This too, you will pass as well. With regard to career choices, management accountants are in vast demand in this day and age in terms of planning, budgeting, forecasting, managing change, managing projects, being on the CFO's agenda, making sure that you can implement pilot projects. All of these are critical skills that the qualification teaches you, whether it is production or service, whether it is for public or private, whether it is for virtual or in person. The qualification gives you a solid set of tools that you can use in a variety of defining careers. You heard about the different jobs that I have worked in. This door opened to me because I chose to become a management accountant. And this is something that I'm always very, very proud of. With regard to our operation in the Middle East, we have across the region, that is Dubai, Saudi, and Abu Dhabi, CMA qualified trainers. We have 16 face-to-face classes, 2 full days of revision. You will be added to a dedicated WhatsApp group. You will be added to a dedicated WhatsApp group where you will interact with your peers, and also you will have access to me through WhatsApp as well. You have GLIME material, which is IMA approved, and one interim mock exam and one full mock exam that you will have access to attempt on a self-paced basis as well. And in addition, because we believe that this course equips you for the outside world, we will have 2 business skills workshop. The last workshop that we ran was on financial storytelling, and you will be invited to this particular event as well. Our classes happen or rather the class experience is split into three. We will have the in-person physical class at the academy, ground floor of MR Square building number 5. If by any chance you can't make it to the physical class, all of these classes are live streamed. They are live streamed, and so you can access them through your phone or your laptop or your tablet. But if you miss the physical class and you miss the live stream, each of the classes are recorded and they are uploaded onto your learning management system. You will have access to the recording for as long as you need. So in person, live stream, recorded lectures, all of them on your learning management system as well. So you have a plethora, you have a galaxy, a universe of resources that are available to you as well. We offer you printed hard copy textbooks, which will have the material, which will have the questions, which will have the formula sheets, all of them in one, which you will bring to class as well. And you will have access to two learning management systems, your tuition provider, which is Gleim. You will have access to their material. You will have access to Gleim's question bank, the essay bank, and the online version of the textbook. You will have access to PwC's LMS, where you will have access to the notes, you will have access to the recorded lectures, you will have access to the additional practice questions, articles that we upload. All of this interaction will take place on the PwC's LMS as well. Across the region, we have a couple of trainers. We have Mustafa, who takes care of the Saudi CMA. Mustafa is pursuing the CFA qualification. He's a savant when it comes to online training. He himself is a CMA. We have Madam Fariha, who takes care of the Abu Dhabi branch business. Charter holder. She's also very passionate about ESG. She takes care of our ESG line of business. And Madam Fariha leads the CMA initiative in the Abu Dhabi market as well. This is some of the feedback that we have received from two pieces of feedback from the number of feedback that we have received from candidates. And we're very proud of these candidates who have done really well, and the qualification has really helped them to kickstart their career and push them to the next level as well. With regard to the start dates, part 1 in Dubai starts on the 24th of October next week, and part 2 in Dubai starts on the 1st November as well. KSA, it's the 5th of July. We've already kicked it off. Abu Dhabi, 4th of July. And of course, with regard to the fees, if you're taking it part by part, it will be 7,000 AED. But of course, the better option is for you to take the combo, which will be 11,900 AED as well. Classes will be one weekday evening, Tuesday or Wednesday, and one class on Saturday as well. So if you are attending, it will be either Tuesday and Saturday, or it would be Wednesday and Saturday. So that's generally two classes for every week. Before I go to the question and answer, I want to show you this slide, and I will display this at the end as well. For additional inquiries, please feel free with regard to registrations to speak to Annie or to Keshini. And if you need to speak to me, please do feel free to drop a message as well. I'll display this slide again. This slide and the recording will be shared with you after this webinar as well. So I'd like to take any questions that you may have, and let me open up the floor for any questions as well. I hope I have answered your questions, everybody. So let me just share this slide one more time, which has the contact details. So please, at any time, should you need to speak to any one of us, please do reach out. Keshini and Annie will be your primary contact for this particular registration process. And then, of course, a little later, you will speak to Isan and you will speak to Nishit as well. Look forward to meeting you, look forward to speaking you, but most of all, look forward to the day that I get to call you a CMA. Thank you so much for making it today. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you soon as well. Nimi, you have a question. Good question, Nimi. So generally, we will do the MCQs, and on a regular basis, we will look through the essay questions as well. During the revision, we go intensive into the essays, because when you do the MCQs, it is ultimately like answering the essay question, because an essay question can have anywhere between 4 to 7 subparts. So when you do the MCQs, automatically you're getting trained to answer the essay question as well, and that's how we structure it. The exam is a computer-based exam. So when you attempt the question bank questions, the interface that you have for your question banks on Gleim gives you the practice of the IMA exam platform. So by doing the online Q bank, you get the experience of attempting the IMA exam platform as well. You're most welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for making it, everybody. I will stay around for another minute or so. If you have no other questions, good luck. Looking forward to congratulating you on your successful professional journey as well. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for making it today.